Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA, and today we're going to be talking about selling your products on Rangeme. Rangeme is a website that's popped up in the last several years, and essentially it is a website where people with consumer products brands can post their products on a website and have buyers review them. Obviously, since I teach people how to get their products in the chain stores for the last 12 years and taught close to 100,000 people on the subject of selling to retailers, obviously, I've been in the business a long time, and when I saw Rangeme showed up, definitely had a lot of questions about it and decided to create a training video on Rangeme and what I think of Rangeme and some of the concerns I have and also some of the pros and so forth. So I just wanted to share with you my absolute truth on working with Rangeme. So when I first got started, I learned how to approach, pitch, and sell buyers directly. Why? Because I was a manufacturer's rep back in New York, back in the early 2000s, meaning I sold products to buyers and we had showrooms, we had things. I did a lot of things over the years, eventually learned strategies that enabled me not to have to go to all the shows and all the things. And that's what I teach in my trainings, how to approach, pitch, and sell to buyers, even if you have no sales experience or buyer relationships. So the reason I started the business 12 years ago was because I had a process on how I got products in the stores. And that process included me explaining how I speak to buyers, which ultimately has led me to sell millions of products to retailers. And when I taught my formula on the side as a side project from my heart, essentially what I did was I put myself out to the world and started sharing with the little guys, the people who were dying to get into stores, but just didn't know how. I wrote a book on the topic and so forth, because I saw that my formula worked really well for me in every product category. And so I started testing it out on small companies, sharing my knowledge, and they were getting tremendous success. So that's what my business essentially is. It's teaching people how to get their products in the stores. And it all started because I just wanted to help people out and show them how I approach buyers. Also, when I started in the business, I was having to reach out to buyers directly because it was a necessity. Today, they have websites where they have a vendor link and they ask you to fill out forms and so forth. They're much more organized. Before, if you didn't know a buyer, they'd laugh in your face. You know, they don't talk to you. Now they have thousands of buyers per retailer, not every retailer, but they have a lot of buyers at each individual retailer. And so they're buying for specific product types. So for instance, if you're trying to sell your product to Walmart, there could be a buyer who buys shoes, another buyer who buys accessories, another buyer who buys hats. I mean, they buy something very specific for their product category, and it goes on and on and on. And that person is solely responsible for that product category. Why I'm saying all this. One of the things that I taught early on was don't submit your product into the cloud, meaning a vendor website, meaning if you want to sell to Walmart, don't click on vendor and fill out your form there. Why? I've done trainings on this in the past, but the essence is you never know who's going to review your product and whether or not it's anyone who actually can buy anything from you, and if it's not going to get lost in the cloud. I don't like filling out long forms talking about how much I've made on the product and everything, not being able to share all the cool aspects of the product. Unless I'm talking to the buyer and being able to show her something really, really cool. When it's their website, it's their questions, it's their everything, and I have no control over it. So I am being listed next to everybody else who's my competitor. It's very hard to sell a product to a chain store when you're just like everybody else. The problem with Rangeme is that it's exactly the same thing as a vendor portal, because you are submitting your product to a website and you're hoping for a return on investment from that buyer on their website. Now, obviously, you're doing that if you're going to a buyer directly, you're hoping that they like your product. But what I'm saying is you're submitting your product with the hopes of a return on investment. I personally have never received a return on investment by submitting my product on a website or whatever and hoping from a buyer to respond. Usually I need to find the appropriate buyer for the product category. I need to say very specific things. I wish it was so easy. It doesn't mean that Rangeme doesn't work. It means that I personally will never fully stand by a website that allows a lot of different buyers looking at a lot of the same different products, all your competitors on the same website. Why? Because I want to differentiate myself from the competition. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't post your product on Rangeme. It's a great website to do it, and just in case. But if I was serious about my business, I would definitely submit my product and Rangeme, and I would learn other strategies on how to approach the buyers directly. Now, when I first got started, I've been doing a lot of trainings for a lot of years. I actually was approached by Rangeme to do blogs and stuff for them. And I did happily. And early on, it was the most amazing thing. And I do believe in what I wrote. And I like Rangeme. I do not dislike Rangeme. They've partnered with a lot of retailers. It's very impressive. Again, from my perspective, I'm here to make money as fast as physically possible. I do not want to put my product on a website where everybody else is submitting and hoping for a response, and they just generally don't get a huge return on investment. Now, some of you might have, and that's wonderful. I want you to succeed, but I would not just stop there. I guess my recommendation is submit your product onto their website. They have a free version, they have a paid version, up to you on what you want to do. But also consider the possibility that all manufacturers reps who sell products to retail chains do something completely different most of the time. They generally figure out who the appropriate buyer is for their product category. They create a beautiful pitch or wordsmithing, some imagery about the product. They go after that retailer very specifically. There's lessons and information. If you want to learn how to do that, we teach that strategy. I'm not competing against Rangeme. We do totally different things. We are more of a retail consultant, and a done for you program versus their website. Completely different. I'm just giving you a thing to think about in regards to Rangeme, which is that if you're going to submit your product on a website with the hopes of return, that's not exactly the best and only thing you should do. It's just one of many things you should do. For instance, if I went to a trade show and I paid for a booth and I went there and I didn't call any buyer in advance to let them know my booth was there, I'm just standing there hoping for a return. Yes, people will peruse, but it won't solidify an opportunities. Whereas if I'm going to a trade show like CES, Consumer Electronics Show, I personally spoken there 3 times. I love that show. It's one of the world's largest trade shows. If I was a person putting my products at CES, I would call Best Buy and everybody else and let them know that I'm going to be on this, at this event. So it's not just uploading your product and hoping for the best. Our recommendation is actually learning the strategies that the manufacturers reps use to go directly to the buyers. Keep yourself away from all the competition and try to get your products there. Now, I will say that like retailers like Whole Foods say that there's no way that you cannot not submit your product on Rangeme, right? So they say, go to our website, fill out the Rangeme form, and then we will discuss it with you. Certain retailers say that. Always do it, of course, but there are other ways to do it. And I know for firsthand that even though they say that to you, you can actually go to Whole Foods directly and still get interest from them and then fill out the forms or whatever they need afterwards. And so that's the kind of strategies we teach. Go a different direction, go where the manufacturers reps go, the people who are generating revenue every single day. Don't just hope and pray, do a lot of different things. Again, I'm not trying to bash Rangeme. Personally, I only want success for the people that are worked so hard to build out their consumer product brand. And if I can give you any advice, it's of course, put it on their website, but go in many different directions and just try to get revenue opportunities, because really what you're doing is you're submitting your product to a website where all of your competitors are hanging out, and not all the big retailers are actually really sifting through those websites. And again, it's got nothing against Rangeme, but it is what it is. You have to really differentiate yourself from the competition. And that's the stuff we teach, the words to use, the way to present your product. And all of that combined can support you with Rangeme, but it is important that you somehow figure out how to get away from the competition. And that's where these websites tend to be a little tricky. Doesn't mean that we don't have our own version of Rangeme. We have an exclusive high-end one where we actually partnered with the retailers and then they review products. If you want to learn more, sign up to one of our newsletters or our events or anything free on retailmba.com. We'll give you information about that. It's not that we don't have our own version, but our way is that we still maintain that relationship. So it's a lot faster and more direct approach to the retailers than on a website, even though Rangeme was amazing. And I'm so proud of them for really changing the way the algorithms work and how these buyers are reviewing products. And they made everything look so much prettier than it used to be. And it's really a software tool for the buyers to be able to review products faster. Again, if it was my product, sure, I'd submit it, but I would go a completely different direction, which is why I stand by what we do 150%. Anyways, if you want to learn more and kind of what we're up to, please click on the links below. But I wanted to share with you what I felt about Rangeme. And again, I've worked with them in the past. I know what they do. And unfortunately for me, if it was my product business, that would not be where I end things. It would just be the beginning of where I go. And then I would learn the advanced strategies so that you can go directly to those retailers and get in front of them before they ignore you completely, because all your competition is all around you. Anyways, Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. Subscribe, like, keep in touch. I hope this provided value. Thanks so much. Bye.